Okay, so I want you to picture a bank robbery. But not, the cool movie version.
Right, not Ocean's 11.
No, no. Picture the real thing from, like, the Wild West. It's just chaos. It's dynamite smoke. People are coughing. The horses are running
And
off.
half the time they don't even get the safe open. It was messy. It was all brute force, very little brain.
Exactly. It was amateur hour. But today's deep dive is about the man who looked at all of that chaos and, well, he decided to fix it. He didn't just rob banks. He engineered them.
He turned it into a literal science. And we're not talking, a loose science. This was a rigorous, almost academic discipline.
This is the story of Herman Baron Lamm.
A name that, honestly, most people have never heard.
Right. You ask someone to name a bank robber, they'll say Dillinger, maybe Jesse James. Nobody says Herman Lamm.
But when you look at the sources, the historical records, crime archives, they all say the same thing. This guy was the father of modern bank robbery.
It's a huge title, but it's accurate. I mean,
Right.
without Lamm, you probably don't get a John Dillinger.
You really don't. He laid the foundation for all of it.
So that's our mission for this deep dive. How did a disgraced Prussian soldier, of all people, end up revolutionizing American crime? We're going to break down his system because the details are fascinating.
And then we have to talk about how it all fell apart. Because for a guy who was so obsessed with perfection, his ending was,
Spectacular disaster.
it's almost a comedy. It proves you can plan for everything except, just pure dumb luck.
So let's start with the man himself, Baron Lamm. He wasn't some kid from the Chicago streets. He was born in Kassel, Germany in 1890.
And it's important that he was Prussian. That's a key detail.
Why is that so vital?
Because being Prussian back then meant you were raised in this culture that just fetishized discipline, order, and precision. It was the heart of the Prussian military machine.
And he was a soldier in that army.
He was. So he was trained to think in terms of strategy, logistics, contingencies. He saw the world as a problem to be solved with a plan.
But he didn't stay in the army very long. He got kicked out, and the reason why is just perfect.
It really is the inciting incident of his entire life, isn't it? He was cashiered, basically dishonorably discharged, and it wasn't for being a bad soldier.
No.
It was for cheating at cards.
It tells you everything you need to know about his personality right there.
It really does. He had the military discipline, but he also had this incredible arrogance. He thought he was smart enough to game the system and not get caught.
A calculated shortcut. So, disgraced, he packs up and moves to the United States around 1914, just as World War I is about to explode.
And he lands in America and turns to crime. But he must have looked at the local criminals and just been horrified.
He was probably insulted by their lack of professionalism.
Completely. He saw the yegs, which was the slang for robbers back then, and he just saw incompetence. They were all improvising. Run in, scream, maybe blow up a safe, run out. To a Prussian tactician, it was offensive.
He saw a marked inefficiency.
A huge one. He realized if he could just apply basic military doctrine to bank robbery, he'd be unstoppable. A heist is just a small-scale invasion. You need intel, you need a plan, you need an extraction.
And that's how we get the Lamm Technique.
Sounds like a business book.
It really does. But it was a system for stealing thousands of dollars. Let's get into it, because the detail is just obsessive. It all starts weeks before the actual robbery, right?
Oh, yeah, weeks. It starts with casing the joint, but not how you'd think. It wasn't just a quick look-see. Lamm treated the bank like an enemy fort.
He would spend days just watching it. I read he would even make his own floor plans.
The detailed blueprints, he'd map out the safes, the teller cages, the exits. But he went deeper. He'd sometimes have one of his guys pose as a journalist.
A journalist?
Seriously.
It's brilliant social engineering. A guy walks in and says, "Oh, I'm doing a story on local banking," and the manager, proud as can be, gives him a full tour.
So they're getting intel on vault timers, guard schedules. Exactly, human intelligence.
Yeah.
So once they have the intel, he assembles the team. And he didn't just grab tough guys. He assigned specific roles.
Like a military squad.
Precisely. A division of labor. You had the lookout, the getaway driver, the lobby man for crowd control, and the vault man to get the money. Everyone had one job.
And you stick to your job. The lobby man doesn't touch the vault.
Correct. But here's the craziest part. They practiced.
This is my favorite detail.
Oh.
The rehearsals. You're talking full-scale mock-ups.
Yes, they'd find an old barn or a warehouse, use chalk to draw the layout of the bank, and they would run the heist again and again and again.
Like they were rehearsing a play. Okay, you stand here, then I jump the counter.
It built muscle memory. But the most important tool in that whole rehearsal wasn't a gun, it was a stopwatch.
The stopwatch. This is what sets Lamm apart from literally everyone else.
He calculated the average police response time for any given town. Let's say it's 7 minutes. Lamm would set the limit for the heist at 5 minutes.
And that was a hard stop. No exceptions.
Absolute. It didn't matter if there was a pile of cash sitting right there on the floor. When that stopwatch hit 0, they were out.
That's an incredible amount of discipline. To walk away from money because a clock says so.
But Lamm knew what kills robbers is greed. The longer you stay, the risk just goes up exponentially. He was playing the long game, managing risk, not just grabbing cash.
Okay, so they're in, they're out, they're on the clock. Now comes the getaway. And this is another area where he just completely geeked out.
He developed what he called GITs, short for getaways. And he would personally map out these back roads he called cat roads.
Cat roads. So these are like unpaved country trails.
Exactly. Roads the police would never think to check. But he didn't just find them on a map. He drove them. He clocked every turn to 1/10 of a mile.
1/10 of a mile.
That's the Prussian precision. He would even test the routes in different weather conditions. Will this dirt road turn to mud if it rains?
And the car itself was special too. He wasn't just stealing some random car off the street.
No. He'd buy them. He looked for really nondescript cars that would blend in, but under the hood they were monsters, high-powered engines. And he'd hire ex-race car drivers.
Which brings us to the dashboard chart. This detail blew my mind. He basically invented paper GPS in the 1920s.
It's a rally chart. He'd paste a piece of paper on the dashboard for the driver. It had every turn, every landmark.
But it also had speeds, right? Like go 40 miles per hour here.
Go 40 miles per hour for 2.3 miles, then slow to 15 for the sharp left. It took all the thinking away from the driver. In a high-speed chase, you don't want your driver making decisions. You want him following the plan.
A flowchart for a felony.
It was designed to remove human error, or at least to try to.
And it worked. For over a decade, from the end of the war to 1930, his gang was untouchable. They stole over $1 million, which is just a staggering amount of money back then.
They were the gold standard. Lamm used all these aliases, Harry Lamm, Thomas Bell, and even when he was arrested, they could never make anything stick. He was a ghost.
He had turned crime into a boring, predictable, profitable business, which is the dream for a criminal. But you can't control for everything.
The world is always more chaotic than your plan.
Which brings us to December 16th, 1930, Clinton, Indiana. This whole story, if you wrote it in a movie, you'd get notes back saying it's too unbelievable.
It is a true comedy of errors.
Yeah.
It's like the universe just decided to conspire against Herman Lamm on that one specific day.
So, set the scene. They hit the Citizens State Bank.
And the robbery itself goes perfectly. By the book, they're on the clock, they get about 15 grand, they get back to the getaway car. The driver is a guy named W.H. Hunter, an ex-rum runner. He's good.
So far, so good.
But while he's waiting for the gang, he looks down the street and sees a local barber.
A barber?
A barber with a shotgun.
Why does the barber have a shotgun?
Who knows? Maybe he was going hunting. Maybe it was just Indiana in 1930. But the driver, Hunter, he panics. He thinks, we're made. So he slams the car into a U-turn to get away.
And this is where Prussian engineering meets an American curb.
Literally, he jumps the curb and blows a tire. The perfectly chosen, high-powered getaway car is now useless.
Okay, so plan A is dead. But Lamm must have a contingency plan.
They go into improv mode, they run down the street, hijack a second car. It's a nice Buick. They pull the owner out and they floor it. And it won't go faster than 35 miles an hour. The engine is roaring, but the car is just crawling.
35? What was wrong with it?
Nothing was wrong with it. The owner had installed a governor on the engine.
You're kidding me? A speed governor?
Yes. And the reason why is it's just perfect. He installed it to keep his elderly father from driving too fast.
I cannot believe the irony. Herman Lamm, the man who planned to 1/10 of a mile, taken down by a son trying to protect his dad.
You cannot factor a concerned son into your criminal equation. It's impossible.
So they're chugging along at 35. The police are definitely closing in now. They ditch the Buick.
They do. They seize a third vehicle, a truck.
Okay, a truck. Not fast, but it should be reliable.
You'd think. But it had almost no water in the radiator. A few miles down the road, it overheats and just dies on them.
This is unbelievable. It's like a cartoon.
It gets worse. They managed to flag down a fourth vehicle.
Please tell me this one was okay.
It had 1 gallon of gas in the tank.
Oh my God. A blown tire, a speed governor, a dry radiator, and an empty gas tank.
And with every car they switch, they're losing time. That 5-minute buffer Lamm built in, it's long gone. By now, the whole county is after them.
They're cornered.
Near Seidel, Illinois, a posse of about 200 police and armed citizens, probably including our friend the barber, they have them completely surrounded in a field.
200 people.
It was a siege. A massive gunfight breaks out. Hunter, the driver who started the whole mess, is shot and later dies.
And Lamm, the control freak.
He saw there was no escape. The equation was unsolvable. So Lamm and another gang member, a 71-year-old they called Dad Landy, they shot themselves.
He controlled his own exit right to the very end.
In a way, yes. But the story, and this is maybe the most important part of this whole thing, it doesn't actually end in that field.
Because 2 of them survived.
Right. 2 guys, Walter Dietrich and Oklahoma Jack Clark, they surrendered. They were captured and sent to the Indiana State Prison.
And this is where history takes a turn. Because who else is in that prison at that exact moment?
A young, nobody, small-time crook named John Dillinger.
To John Dillinger.
At that point, he wasn't the John Dillinger. He was just another inmate. But he ends up with Dietrich and Clark, and he realizes these guys are different. They're professionals.
It's like he got into the graduate program for bank robbery.
It was his finishing school. Dietrich and Clark, they saw potential in Dillinger, and they made him a deal. They said, we'll teach you everything. We'll teach you the Lamm technique, but you have to break us out when you get paroled.
Wow. Talk about a curriculum.
So they sat there for months, transferring all that knowledge. How to case a joint, the stopwatch, the cat roads, the getaway charts. John Dillinger didn't invent his style. He inherited it. He was running Herman Lamm's software.
That's incredible. So the whole Public Enemy #1 era of the 30s, that's really just the ghost of Herman Lamm.
It is. The precision, the speed of the Dillinger gang, that was Prussian military doctrine, passed down in a prison yard. Lamm's body died in that field, but his system lived on.
So what's the big takeaway from all this when you look at the Baron's life?
I think it's a lesson on the limits of a perfect system. Lamm proved that having a process, having discipline, it beats improvisation almost every time. That's true in crime, in business, in anything. But you can't account for reality. You can have the perfect plan, and a barber with a shotgun or a son who loves his dad can undo everything. There's always friction.
It makes you think about today. Lamm was the innovator of his time, bringing stopwatches to a gunfight.
And today, the bank isn't a building. It's a server somewhere.
Exactly. So here's the final thought I want to leave you with. Somewhere out there, right now, is a modern Baron Lamm. They're not mapping back roads. They're mapping vulnerabilities in a financial systems code.
And what's the Lamm technique they're perfecting right now that we won't even know about until it's too late?
That is a chilling thought. But hey, if they have a getaway plan, I really hope they check the radiator fluid first.
Always check the fluids.
Thanks for diving in with us. We'll see you on the next one.